Hey, how you doing? We made it to yet another Wednesday. How cool is that? I hope everyone is having a very good week. And we are getting through this whole shelter in place thing and all of that. So that is, very trying times, but we're going to get through this. So I'm definitely very confident that we're going to come out of this even better. Just more thankful for things that I feel that we have taken for granted. Hey Gloria, how you doing? How are you? So you're here early with me. I'm early too. I thought I'd come on early and make sure everything's working. Sound and everything is okay, Gloria? And so I'm gonna continue. I just want to see on my big screen if I am actually on here. So let's see. I'm going to go home, and then I'm just going to go and just make sure that we are live. I think we are, right, Gloria? Let's see. There we are. Okay, cool. We are there. And so thank you, Gloria, for that. That the sound is good, so that's good. Hey, John, how's it going? Good to see you. So we made it to yet another Wednesday. And as you see, I went ahead and put Frisket back on her, and then took the Frisket off the background, and then I painted in the background today. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go into we're going to go into the figure, the face, with the medium mixture. So I think that would be good just to reestablish and start working in some of those darks and bringing everything closer together. I think that's going to be really good. So, okay, so they say it's going to get hot here, and I'm afraid because now my air conditioner seems to not be working. So that's a little bit frightening. Hopefully it's just a temporary thing, right? That's what we can only pray for. Because it'll be a very long summer if the air conditioning is out. That's for sure. I'm just going to look again, go to my videos, and there we are. Let's see if this works. Okay, cool. So we are in business. Yeah, it might be a temporary thing. It might be like it's humid or something, but it just seems like it's not working. It's so weird. I really hope it's not something bad. I would definitely cry, that's for sure. You know how I hate the summer as it is. I'm not okay until November 14th or something like that. Okay. All right, so what I'd like to do is start to, with the medium mixture, just start darkening some of these values. And just darkening everything to bring things sort of more in line with my reference. I can always go back in with detail, but here it's very important to make sure that I soften things up. That's very important. Everything seems to be a bit harsh right now. Now the important thing is when you are working on a painting or a portrait or what have you, if it doesn't look like her, don't worry. Just continue with the program and things will work out. Whatever you do, don't try and fix things before it's time to fix them, because that's when we make the big mistakes. So you see, I'm just going to start darkening some of these areas. So we have a very quiet day today. That's okay. Not many people are here in the room. Hey, Tone, how you doing? Good to see ya. How are you, my friend? And when I say, basically darkening everything up, just darkening everything up, because everything is a little, I would say a little too contrasty, right? I think the values are much closer to one another. So I'm just going to address that. I'm a good distance away, as you can see. So I'm definitely a good distance away. Oh, I hear you, Tone. Definitely, the social distancing thing is really killing us. I mean, it's good that we're doing it and everything, but it is really rough. Even the most unsocial of people are social, right? That's just our nature. Now what I'm going to do now is really stay away from doing any kind of tight detail. Now it's just sort of bringing things sort of in balance. So that's what today's about. With the medium mixture, going a little bit, looking for the tonal structure that I feel happy about, especially with this particular mood of this pose. Hey Wendy, how's it going? Good to see you. So glad you can make it today. I think, as far as right here, maybe we can de-emphasize this part of her eye. I think that would definitely serve us better if we can de-emphasize this line here. It's just you don't want to have too strong, lines like that. Oh, well, thank you, Wendy. You have good control. You just have to be able to go back to your house where you have all your airbrush stuff, right? So at this stage, what I'm doing is really thinking about the painting as a whole. Thinking about being successful as a painting and not worrying about whether it looks like anybody. Just thinking about this is a work of art. This is something that is very, it's not a portrait, but a work of art. And when you do have that particular, perspective, it really keeps you from saying, oh my God, if it doesn't look like her, it's not successful. And I don't want you to do that. When I have a new kneaded eraser such as this, I never take something like this and then use it. That would be crazy. So I'll just cut a piece like this. Very small. Put that away. Take off the plastic. Oh, they put a roof. Very cool. All right. That's fantastic. So I'm glad you're able to practice now. That's very good news. And so you see how you want to use a small kneaded eraser like this, nothing too big. That would defeat the purpose. It's all about making your life easier. And if you have a big wad of so you guys are going to hear the fan. Don't worry about it. If it's annoying, sorry, it's hot. And I'm going to have it on. So, all right. So, all right. Here also I see that there is just, there's too much contrast everywhere, I feel, in this portrait. And right now what I'm going to do is just try and calm down the contrast. Make everything a little more smoky, a little more, help with the emotion of this piece. And when you're painting a woman, you don't want it to be harsh shadows. You don't want it to be really harsh lights and darks. That's something you don't want to have. Here I feel there's far too much contrast going on. So I'm going to go about 6 inches away, and I'm basically just going to apply a dusting over her. We can always go back in with the white pastel, but I think it's really... Hey, what's up, Brad? Good to see you. How are you, my friend? Same thing here. We're gonna do a dusting. And right now we're just basically working on the whole ensemble. We're not even thinking about one part individual. We're looking at it as a whole, one big thing, like how can we make this better? Now I do see that there are some harsh lines here, right here, and that had to do with the frisket. Remember, when you have the advantages of the frisket, there's also disadvantages. And no matter how careful you are, I don't care if you've been doing this 100 years, you're going to sometimes have some dark or light lines around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very lightly, with my mono eraser, just like that. See that? I'm just going to lighten that up, just at that edge. If it doesn't belong in it there, get it out. That's how you got to look at it. So you're working on the whole, and you're looking at the painting as a whole, and if you just really concentrate, you'll see that there are things, elements in the painting that really don't belong, and it's your job to remove them. And over here, there is like super soft contrast here. So definitely want to look at the contrast. You want to look at making sure we're not putting in detail. One of the things that I was thinking about today is when you look at artwork, you shouldn't look at even the greats, right? If you can, look at their reference and look at what they did, and even see where they missed. Whether they made the eyebrow darker, or they missed and made the lip too big in the reference. That's good to see, because you realize that everyone misses. Everyone, is human, and we all have our human faults. But just to see, where people will change the hair. Hey, Willie, how's it going? And that hopefully will give you confidence to know, like, wow. So even this guy, he missed a hair. I can see he missed this, and I think that would really help you. Just to have that confidence. You can see where they missed, so you know that you can get there just as well. And I have to be very careful here that I don't put too much contrast. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that doesn't happen. And now I'm looking at this negative space here. So the negative shapes are just as important as the positive shapes. Just as important, not less in any way. Very low contrast here in this eye. So we're going to bring that contrast down lower. And let's make sure we get that fade of shadow as the skin above the eyelid sort of turns into the eye socket. Let's continue looking at the forehead as a whole. I think that's really important. So you see we have a darker value over here because the light, of course, is coming from here. So that means if this was a ball or an egg, her head, then this right here would probably be where the terminator would be. And then the light would be, this would be the highlight, and then you would have the rest of the form, including the reflected light here. So when you look at that, you just want to pretend or squint your eyes and try and see the large form first and then the smaller forms on top of that. Now that's called stacked form. Stacked form is when you have other forms on top of major forms, and then on top of that you have minor forms and even more minor forms from there. And that's called stacked forms. So on here, a stack form would be the nose is a stack form on top of the large shape of the head. Same thing. Where the dental arch is, that would be a stack form, but on top of that would be the lips on top of the arch of the teeth. So you see how form will stack up on each other. But they still would have to adhere to the same laws of light and shade, and those same laws of light and shade in that particular instance. So the light's still coming from the upper right, everything's going to have to bow down to those principles. Now we do have some minor forms in here. There we go. So you see, while we see the darker forms, the midtones, and the lights, we're starting to really kind of get the lines of her expression. And that's eventually what we want to get. But we don't want to look for them. We want to actually have them fall into place when we're working on the whole of her portrait. So we want to work on the large shapes first and then go from there. And then hopefully when we work on the large shapes, such as the major forms, the stack forms will fall into place because we have the large forms correctly done and in proportion and in proper place in relative to other parts of the portrait, such as the hair and the shoulders and that sort of thing. So now that I'm working on up here, I'm just going to continue calming things down, getting the values not so disparate, right? We don't want the values to be too far from one another, okay? So that's one of the things we want to do right now. If we look at, let's say, a Johannes Vermeer painting, for instance, everything's so soft and so beautiful. There's not a lot of harshness going on like over here. So that's why, like, when we get to this point, like when we worked on the light, the white mixture, then we worked on the light mixture, and then we did some detail, and now we have to continue looking at this painting as a whole and keep asking ourselves, where does it seem like it's too harsh? Where does it seem like it's losing some of its beauty, its luster? And I can see right here, like right there, you see that really harsh edge right there. Not the harsh edge, but that dark is just a little bit out of balance. And how you know that? Because you can look at the dark here, and then you can go ahead and look at the dark in the nostril and ask yourself, is it the same? But it really isn't. So that's why my job is to look at it and ask myself, is this too dark? And if it is, I better address it. So I ask myself also, if let's say it's not as dark as this here, so can I make it lighter? How light would I have to make it? And I would say similar to this or similar to that. So we would go ahead and take our knock eraser, because this is too small, and if we go too small, we're going to create sort of detail we don't want to. Hey Mike, how's it going? Good to see you. So glad you can make it. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to vary ever so lightly, and we're going to go in the direction of the form, right? So you don't want to just go on this and pretend if you're actually erasing on someone's neck here, you're not going to be all rough, right? You're going to be very gentle. As you get more and more further into the portrait, and you want to actually be more and more gentle. That is so important. We can always go back in and darken it, right? So we don't have to worry about that. And let's try the kneaded eraser. We have a brand new kneaded eraser, which is good. There we go. And so I definitely have some blending in the values here, because right here in the cheek I think it's a little too harsh for me. Just a little bit too harsh. And that's why when you're at this stage you really want to be working more on the ensemble, more as the picture as a whole. It's very important. So it's all in preparation. And preparation A through G was a total failure. So now preparation H works well on the whole. I just wanted to mention that. And that was a line from what movie, guys? What movie that was from? You get a gold star if you knew what that line was from what movie. Or is anyone paying attention to me? Well, that would be okay, because not many people pay attention to me anyway, guys. So the line was preparations A through G were a complete failure in working on this portrait as far as, you know, doing the ensemble. But now preparation H actually works very good on the whole. So so Willie says it was funny. John says, "Come on now, okay, I'm gonna give you one more chance, okay? That's, you know, it's very funny, but you know." So that was, I believe, that was Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. I'm pretty sure that was the one. So. Now remember the other one he said where, you know, he was going to blow up the earth, and he called it the Alan Parsons Project, remember? Oh, thanks, John, I appreciate that. Oh, you guys know, you got to see it. It's just silly escapism, guys, and just the whole Austin Powers is just really hilarious. Yes, Mike Myers is Canadian. Very true. And just hilarious, you know. I think I was a little too serious today, and I just had to break the ice and be a little more crazy. So yes, so preparation H worked good on the whole because preparations A through G were a total failure. See? That's right, the mojo. And like, you know, the other guy where he said, "Get in my belly." Yeah, baby. Exactly. Exactly. Austin Powers is kind of my my hero. That's true. Many people are from Canada. I find most people from Canada live up north from me. So you see how I'm just sort of calming things down and making things softer? Because when I come in with the dark mixture and even stronger with the medium mixture, things are going to start to, you know, we can go ahead and come back. So my problem is that I feel I went a little too crazy trying to get things so perfect so early. And I want you guys to really realize that, you know, when you're doing a portrait or just anything, you know, cooking something or, you know, preparing something, doing woodworking, just don't try to make it perfect early because the process is really important. And we have to make sure that we let the process happen and not to lose patience or lose heart, that it is going to come out okay. And that's very important. It's a very important lesson, and it's a lesson that I keep teaching myself. So now I'm learning different software for digital art, and that's very important, you know. Oh, definitely, John, you know, and I feel you because, you know, that is the battle, right? That is one of the biggest battles that we could have, is just fighting it, just to say to ourselves, you know what, Tim, John, or Gloria, or Brad, Wendy, Tone, you got to say to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna be calm, and I'm just gonna go through the process, and I'm just gonna let it happen and not force it. It's almost like forcing romance, right? You can't force it. I wish you could. I would be forcing it, but you can't force romance. And same thing is, you can't force the magic, right? You have to do everything you can, and hope that that magic happens. I'm not saying you don't have to be diligent. I don't say that you don't have to really put your best foot forward, but just, step back, look at it, see things that need to be changed, but try not to make huge changes early because it doesn't look like them, or it doesn't look the way you want it to at that stage, okay? And I think that would serve me well, serve you well, if we do that. And I always love that expression, done is better than perfect. And so we're not going to worry about whether it's great or whether anything. We're just going to worry about whether we finish it and complete it. And what's more important than learning from it and taking what we learned and applying that to our next piece. Remember, the masterpiece for any artist is always the very next piece. So the one painting that's going to change the world, just like the Mona Lisa changed the world, or Leonardo's Last Supper, or Picasso's Guernica. You know what? It could be the very next painting for you. So always tell yourself that. It could be this painting, but you have to let it happen. And I guess we have to get out of our own way, right, guys and girls? I think that's important. Let's get out of our own way, And I think that's so crucial, and that's a really important lesson. I think that's more important than an anatomy lesson, more important than anything else. Is can I get out of my own way to be successful? And what is success? I don't know, but I think it happens when we're working. As long as we're working more, that's when success could happen. Whatever it is, whether it's just the success of creating the painting on your own, of getting there, of the joy of doing it. I think that's the most important thing. Let your mind go and the body will follow. Let your mind go and the hand will follow. Let your mind go and the art supplies will follow. And I want you to take notes, right? So, that is something that would be important. So let's say I'm looking at this, right? I'm looking at this painting, and I would take a note. So what would my note be today? So my note would be definitely work on glare of the monitor when working from reference by the computer only. So this is a very important thing, because what happens is if I don't go ahead and write this down and then put it somewhere, I'm just going to maybe repeat that same process that is kind of counteractive to me having a better workflow, more conducive to being the best, or having my work come out the best workflow, right? And so Wendy says, let your mind go and your sanity will follow. At times, yes. But I think that if we write down things that are successful, things that are, we're having trouble with, those are things that you really, really, really want to make sure that you address, and you write it down, and you think about it, and you meditate on that, and ask yourself, how can I fix this? How can I make the challenge of this painting help my next painting? Unless you write it down, it's not going to exist. So I recommend getting a small notebook, or a series of small notebooks you keep by your, hey, what's up, Philip? Good to see you. How are you? A group of small little notebooks. And it's actually so important to have. And you can get these notebooks at the dollar store. You can get them everywhere. And, you know, and they have all kinds of information. And so, you know, I might have something from digital in here. You know, I might have different notes on paintings, different things that are troubling me with my artwork. And it could pertain to anything. But if I have it with me, then I could basically put down the notes anywhere. So I will definitely eventually take it from my Post-it note and put here, and I could say work on glare, and then I'm thinking possibly work from high quality printouts, which I may go to Staples to handle that. So you can see now my mind's thinking about how to improve. And isn't that everything to, hey Steve, how you doing? Good to see you. That is so great. So I'm so happy you're here, and thanks Willie, I appreciate that. So we got Philip and we got Steve here, so I'm very happy. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. And so yes, you know, it's great to have those paintings that you love. Like, yay, you know, you did it. You know, you had that great painting. But there's such advantage and such fruit that we can get from the tough ones, right? From the ones that are not so easy. There's a lot we can actually, we can squeeze a lot of nectar out of that. And so, you know, we can't look at our paintings that we are having trouble with, or they're just not perfect or not what we wanted. We can't look at them as failure because they're part of our growth as artists as a whole. And they're very important parts. I mean, how are you going to know, you know, how are you going to find the right combination of, let's say, you know, reference from working from photos, and then working from, let's say you're working from photos and then you're also working on a monitor. How would you know if you didn't have trouble? I mean, are you going to take someone's word for it? No, this is something that you're going to find. Plus, you know, we can have so many different teachers and mentors and watch videos and everything, but you know, you're going to have to experience yourself, because your experience is going to be totally different from everyone else's. And there's no way around it. And that means when you teach somebody, you're going to have that experience that no one else is. So no matter who you are, you're going to have a lot to give. But having a lot to give is like with experience. It's like, if you never had your heart broken, how in the world are you going to help someone else who their heart is broken? How are you going to make them feel better if you don't know that you can get through it? And I know that's kind of a weird analogy, but that's the thing, you know, experience is knowledge, and experience is so important. So continue doing your paintings, but play them through, you know, play through it. Same thing if you're playing chess, or you know, you're playing baseball, or what have you, and you're getting killed. Play through it, and you're gonna be great on the other side. Philip says he likes to say that he learned more from his failures than my successes. That's so true, and in reality that means that your successes, your failures, quote unquote, are really an integral part of your successes, because without them, they wouldn't be possible. So that's very true, Phil. And I really appreciate that. So I started gardening a while ago. I mean, talk many years ago when I lived in Florida. and I wasn't painting. And you know how we artists are. If we're not painting, the creative energy has to come out somewhere. So I started gardening, and in my first year I started gardening. I put down string beans, I put down tomatoes, and my tomato plant was this long spindly thing with one big tomato at the top, and it was horrible, and the string beans were like this big, and everything was really horrible. But the next year I decided to get a couple of books, and it told me to do soil samples and go to the Osceola County Agriculture Society and get samples of the soil so I can see if it's too alkaline, or how much peat moss and compost and all that to put in. Well, by the third year I literally had 10-foot corn. Now this was on a corner house, and on the side of the house I made raised gardens, with 2x4s, and literally I had like 8 varieties of tomatoes. I had chocolate peppers, I had lemon cucumbers, I had all these really crazy hybrids that I got from this really progressive nursery in South Carolina. I got the seeds, and I'll tell you, it was literally amazing. Radishes, everything. It was really very cool. So I had to have that first year where everything sucked, and the second year where everything was so-so. But by the third year, I was stopping traffic. I had eggplants. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. John says, if you haven't failed, you haven't tried. Exactly. And if you haven't failed, oh, well, yes. So, but John just illustrated the point. Try the second time, it's perfect. See, John? You just illustrated the point, First time is always rough sometimes, but, it's just part of the success that's coming. So you guys and girls, you're all great, and you all inspire me. I just want you to know that. So basically today, all I'm doing is really calming things down, because everything, now remember in the beginning, didn't everything seem a little contrived, a little harsh, and and we all have a little OCD, right, John? We're all gifted with some of that, It just seems like in our society, it's part of our society, right? And that's kind of rough. But we get through, and regardless, we create great things, and we share and inspire each other and push each other to do better, and help each other along, and I think that's really cool. So I'm really liking, from the beginning of the day, I thought that everything was like really, I was not happy. And I think I just had to really calm things down, and I still have to calm things down. And it might be, so let's say you have to calm down a certain area, right? So let's make it a little bit lighter. So what I will do is I'll make it lighter here in the program. Okay, so just make it a little bit lighter. And let's blow up into the eye, okay? All right. When we blow it up, we can see 2 things that we need to fix. But the first thing we need to fix is that I feel that I'm a little broken up over here, right? Just a little broken up over here. Now, mind you, I'm in the medium mixture, because I want my decisions to be a little stronger. It's time to be a little more decisive. So decision making is really, really a little more important now. Okay. Same thing over here. I see that I can sort of bring this dark just a little bit, just like that. And then also this light area needs to be a little bit larger. Just a little bit. And I'm going to be very, very gentle with that. So Mike says he has a question for everyone. How do you get back into the swing of airbrushing after being away from it from a long time? Remember that wonderful saying that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So just take out your airbrush and just start, get my ink mixtures and just have fun and just start. You always start at the beginning, Mike, and I know it's hard to go from 0 to 60 because that's the first, that's the hardest thing. But once you're moving, you'll be fine. It's just you have to get going. And that's what I do. I have to move and I have to do it. And once I do it, I'm okay. But I have to get off of that initial start is really important. And same thing, Willie, do this. Just say to yourself, today I'm going to spend 15 minutes and all I'm going to do is I'm going to play with the airbrush. I'm going to fire it up and all I'm going to do is I'm going to do dagger strokes, maybe fool around, do a logo, just whatever, just doodle, right? You do that for 15 minutes every day. Two things are going to happen. First thing that's going to happen is that the very first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to find that 15 minutes usually turns into a half hour or an hour. You're also going to find that if you keep doing this and having those 15 minutes, even if you just spend 15 minutes every day, that's amazing. So if you think about that and you compound that for a year, that's better than how many of these workshops, these getaways, right? Think about and how much you are improving. Oh, Brad says that he took my mentoring class. Baby the craft the whip and keep it moving. Thank you, Brad. Yes, see, Brad's in my my mentorship program. It's only $25 a week, and I'm not saying this to advertise, but I'm saying this if this is something that really troubles you. So me and Brad meet once a week to work on a project, and then once a week, those in my mentorship program, we have a class, a group class. And a group class could be anything on digital art, it could be on photographing your work, to anything like that. And so those two things, no matter what happens, Brad's working on his project, and so, we have that time booked, and so that's, whether it's with me or another artist that you feel more comfortable with, but try and get into a mentorship program. And this is a really good mentorship program for those who can't afford it, and believe me, I know how it is, and that's why I keep doing this, because not everyone has the means to do that. But then that's why I do these, because every week I'm here for you. So every week, I know that you guys need inspiration, and I need inspiration from you guys too, you guys and girls. And so if you think about it that way, that's pretty cool. But if you want to go to that next level, just start out with those 15 minutes. 15 minutes a day, And I know you guys are busy and everything like that, and I know life is hard, but do it for you. Do it for you, right? Just do one day, 15 minutes. For you, Willie, do it for Willie. For you, Mike, do it for Mike. For Wendy, do it for Wendy. Do it for you. And are you worth it? Are you worth it, being happier and feeling fulfilled and breaking that ice? You guys are more, and girls are more than worth it. So go ahead and push yourselves and, That's what I want to see. So I bought some acetone today because I'm running out. I'm going to do some deep cleaning on this airbrush. And sometimes you have to do that. You know, eventually you're going to have to do some deep cleaning. That's important. So you see how I went ahead and calmed everything down here. Now also, I also see on this particular eyebrow, I can make it a little more full over here. There we go. And also on this side, we can see that it's higher over here. And that means a little more full. So let's go to this side. Go. And so now we can see, like, when we're really in that eye. So Mike says, I hear you, Willie, it's rough to do the spirit mood again sometimes. And Willie says, it's funny, it's what I want to do more than anything, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Oh, thank you, Steve. Steve says he loves the close-up view. Yeah, that's the really great thing about fooling your digital camera in your digital SLR, fooling your computer to make it think it's a webcam. So if you ever want to know more about that, Steve, you let me know. And I'm sure you already know, but if in case you don't, you let me know and we'll talk about it. And maybe we can help you with your live streams as well. So it's a little pricey, but you know, if you guys ever want to take your live stream to that next level, you let me know. Well, yes. The thing is, it's just, regardless of how you feel, Mike, it's that crazy, you know, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up at 5 in the morning or whatever. And that's the difference, you know. Case in point, when, you know, before all this happened, you know, the COVID-19, I was doing really good working out with weights at the gym. I mean, I was really motivated. But the motivation was the decision. The motivation wasn't the feeling, because you know what? The feeling is going to come and go, you know. But, you know, if you married a girl and, you know, you're not always going to have that feeling. There's going to be days when the feeling is just like blah. But you married her, right? And so, you know, it's that commitment. See, the commitment or the decision, that's what's going to get you going. Don't worry about the feeling. If I worried about the feeling, I would not be painting, and I wouldn't always do the live streams, because there are days when, you know, Lazy Tim just feels like watching YouTube videos on a Wednesday night. You know what I mean, guys? And you know, we all do things. Marry that girl, yes, that's what they say, you know. I just have to meet her. And the thing is that, you know, it's the commitment, right? And it's true, Wendy, it's the commitment. And and same thing, you know, you marry your art, you know, and it's important to you guys. And you know, this is not something that's not important. It's not something that, you know, weighs on you. Go ahead, you know, make that decision. You know, 15 minutes. You know, take it. and take it from somewhere else, you know. Take it from not necessarily your sleep, because you know that sucks, right? You know, don't get enough sleep as it is, and I don't mean to go ahead and take it from your sleep, but oh, so Wendy says her art is a neglected husband. Well, you know what they say about art? Art is a jealous mistress, and I think that's true. At least in my life, it has been extremely true. Yeah, or a really nice classic car. Very true. So, you know, make it happen, guys. I have faith in you. And, you know, like I said, you know, 15 minutes could turn into a lifetime, you know? It really could. Dennis Waitley, if you ever read any of his books, he's a self-help guru, one of the first ones back in the 70s. And he said that habits start out as flimsy cobwebs at first, you know, wispy. But with time and dedication and decision, we can make that flimsy cobweb into an unbreakable cable, where we can actually be putting that time into our work like clockwork. And so that's, you know, and I think of, you know, how is the, you know, world being neglected from all that great art, you know? So you'll be giving the world great art. So Wendy says hers isn't jealous. That's funny. So now that we did this, let's see where else we can darken up a bit. And I think what I'm going to do, and this is kind of a little risky here, I'm going to go in with the dark mixture and I'm going to start working on some dark areas. What the heck, right? So let's move into the dark mixture. So you see I have my dark mixture here. Let's move that over. There we go. So when you're going from, let's say, a medium to a dark, or from a light to a medium, you don't really have to clean it out, because the lighter color, the lighter value is not going to affect the darker value. The other way around, if you're going from a dark mixture and then you want to go and paint with the light mixture, yes, you are going to have to clean out the cup, but you don't have to go in from light to dark. So that's pretty cool. Oh, so Brad says he spent last month or so fixing up his little art studio so it's more appealing, comfortable place to work. Now he's running out of excuses to avoid doing art. Well, I think that was a necessary thing, and now's the time, right? Now you have to go ahead and you know, justify all that hard work you did to make that amazing studio. So it blocked it again because it had nudes in the text. Oh, I see. That's interesting. Philip says, after your painting is complete, do you protect it with anything such as clear coat? Not at all. What I do is I frame it with a mat and then on the glass and make sure that everything is sealed. And this, remember, the ink is light fast. My ink mixtures are light fast and archival. The paper is made by Canson, light fast and archival. And so there's no damage. As long as it's on the glass, you are good to go. You have it raised from the glass, that's good, or you can actually have the glass right on it, depending on not whether you want the whether or not you want the, which is up to you, whether or not you want your work to have a mat. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Almost like almond joy. Oh my God! I don't know why I'm talking about all this. You know, I used to watch TV as a kid incessantly. I mean, literally crazy. So I'm in the dark mixture now, and so I used to watch, that was my life. I was a sick kid when I was young, so I watched a lot of TV, and I was a bookish kid, I like learning and everything like that, and I'd watch like nature shows with my dad and stuff like that, and so Willie wants candy, and so watching I Love Lucy and the Mod Squad, Starsky and Hutch, $6 Million Man, all those different things, and it kind of helped me to have this imagination. Even the cartoons that we watched as kids, like Bugs Bunny and not Heckle and Jekyll, Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, kind of cerebral cartoons even. And so, not cake. So, yes, cake is always good. I had a brownie the other day. So, starting Monday, that's when I'm going back to my diet, getting ready for the gym, hopefully sometime in June. And then I'm back in business. And then I'll go back to working out every day. And I'm just going to even take it more serious than I did before. Yes, those old tunes were great, Mike, especially Bugs Bunny, something about Bugs Bunny is just so amazing. I think when you see shows like Austin Powers and everything, a lot of those jokes, that kind of humor did come from the old Bugs Bunny, And I really loved the artwork of Bugs Bunny as a kid. That really inspired me, because they were really well done, right? Not just the backgrounds, right? And I really hated the very early Bugs Bunny and the Bugs Bunny that were like in the 70s. They were just horrible. But those Bugs Bunny episodes that were in the 40s and 50s, they were just fantastic. Oh my God. Just the way they're drawn and the anatomy of everything was just fantastic. Oh yeah. That is Jessica Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I do know that one, yes. And remember Donald Duck, and he was in like a dragnet type of thing, and this woman comes in, and she's all sexy, and Donald Duck says, "She's guilty. No crime is committed, but she's guilty." Now, as a kid, I didn't understand that, but I'm like looking at that, right? And I can remember as like being 5 years old, looking at that and being like, why is she guilty, Tom and Jerry, I did like Tom and Jerry. What really got me with Tom and Jerry, though, is that there wasn't much talking. And I always liked dialogue. But the artwork in Tom and Jerry was really fantastic. The early ones, right? Not the ones they did like in the 70s. But yeah, the artwork was amazing in Tom and Jerry. Now, was that Fritz Freeling who did Tom and Jerry? Because I know Fritz Freeling did Woody Woodpecker, which was just really, really fantastic. But yeah, Tom and Jerry was great, and they just can't replicate it, can they? Right? They just can't replicate it. Lippy the Lion. Wow. Oh, yes, Bullwinkle and the Moose. That's so funny. I didn't like Gumby. Pepe Le Pew is great, yes. Ho ho ho. Yeah, he was great. Love Pepe Le Pew. So Lippy the Lion and Hardy Har Har. I gotta look that up. Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Yeah, and then, Underdog was pretty good, but the animation was really bad. And even as a little kid, I was like, that's not very good. The animation wasn't really good with Mighty Mouse. you know, with cake. So now I'm starting to darken things up, and hopefully as I darken things up, maybe, you know, things will start calming down in some areas where I felt were too dark. And also, maybe now that I darken this up, I could really start bringing things together. And we're also going to look for some dark accents here and there, but on a bigger scale, right? Not on a small scale. Like right here. Oh man, was I? Yes, I used to draw Marvel comics. I was a Marvel person. I wasn't a DC guy, but yes, I used to draw Daredevil. Didn't like Superman. I liked Spider-Man, but I was big with the artist who did Daredevil, which was Gene Cologne. He was fantastic. And so that kind of got me through my maybe 11 to like 13, 14. I did a lot of comics. And then as I got a job at a butcher shop, delivering stuff, delivering groceries in New York City. And before I went to art high school, I would take whatever I earned, go to the little art store, you know, on the main road, on the main avenue in New York City in Astoria. And each week I would buy a different Walter Foster book. How to draw the nude in charcoal, how to paint in acrylic, how to do landscapes and oils and all that stuff. And that's how, you know, I learned. So before I ever took a class in art high school, I was already teaching myself with Walter Foster books. Do you guys remember Walter Foster books? They were really big. They were $2. And just only $2, and they were complete books on the anatomy, the full figure anatomy, just different titles, you know. It was just so amazing, and there were so many, and it was just really watercolor portraits, the nude in charcoal, just really just fantastic. How's the picture quality? Is it okay? Foghorn Leghorn was really a great character. You know, kind of bizarre, but great nonetheless. Okay, so now, so we have this dark mixture. Let's see if we can work in some of the darkest darks. And I think it could give context. Oh, okay. So little, yeah. So I might be a little bit off with the expression, but that's what I meant like earlier in the day, you know, early in this live stream, is that we can't worry about the subtleties until everything's in place. Once everything's in place, then we can go ahead and make those corrective decisions. But if we do it too early, we're setting ourselves up in a trap. There we go. Now remember, we're still in the dark mixture, so we don't want to make any decisions that need a medium mixture or a light mixture, right? We don't want to go into that. That could cause problems. But where we do see where we can come in with a dark mixture here and there, go for it. See that? You can go ahead and be a little forceful here and there where it calls for it. So important. So that's what we want. So let's go over to the other eye and see where we can just maybe reiterate some of the darkest darks here. Well, thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that always. I always appreciate your support. I appreciate the encouragement always. And there we go. I'm just going to see there's like a little bit of a light from the under part of her eyelid there. And it's very subtle, but we have to address it. There's no way around it. We can approach avoid it, right, as much as we want, but we're still going to have to. Okay, definitely. Now that could happen too, you know, and that's one of the things is a good point, Mike, but we definitely don't want to get hung up on likeness, right? Unless it's a commissioned portrait, but even then you don't want to get hung up on likeness. You want to try not to? It's not easy, right, Mike? It really isn't. But that's how we stick with the process. So I'm going to continue moving around and looking for some dark accents here and there. Oh man, Steve, thank you so much for hanging out. Always a pleasure. I hope you have a great night and stay well, my friend. Continue doing that amazing artwork you do. You're always inspiring me, sir. Now, where else can we just put in some darkest darks here? Let's try right here. We're going to be bold. Go, and we'll come back to that, and we'll definitely, make sure. Well, we can definitely work on the corner of her mouth. So Mike says making things look exactly is sometimes impossible, so changing a little bit is normal and easier sometimes. Definitely. What's our goal? Is our goal to repeat the photograph? If that is, cool. But if it's not, then it's okay if it's not exactly, right? So what is our goal? That's something you always want to ask yourself. And that will really help you to get to where you want to be, It's so important. Like, what's the objective, right? Of any mission, what's the objective? And let me get the focus there. And remember, when you do these like little lips, these striations of the lips or little wrinkles in the lips, you want to make sure you're following the grain of the lips, right? They always go towards the center too. Stick with the program, guys. It'll work out, okay? Don't worry how it's looking, please. It's not in your best interest. It's not in my best interest. And I want us to keep moving about. There we go. Continue asking ourselves, let's look at the ensemble, right? Always concentrate on the ensemble. You know, where are we missing the mark? Where are we hitting the mark? And constantly squint our eyes, look at our painting, look at the reference, and so when I do that, I can definitely darken all this down. So look at the reference. I see something that I wouldn't see if I was just looking straight on, you know? But if I squint my eyes and make everything fuzzy, then I realize how much darker this side of the face is. Just everything, how much darker everything is. So I'm just going to dust everything here. So you see that? So important. So I'm going to be about 4 or 5 inches away, and I'm going to dust this whole side. This whole side of her face. Even where the lips are, I'm dusting. Even where the teeth are, I'm dusting. I'm dusting the whole thing. So important because I didn't see that till I squinted my eyes. And I'm just going to dust this area. I know I'm in a dark mixture. I don't recommend you doing that. Because you definitely have to have like major control in doing that. But just dusting this whole area, just making it a little darker, softening things up significantly. And then over here, we definitely don't want this dark over here. Just going to calm that down a little bit. Subtlety in everything that you do, whether it's, you know, working with the freehand shields or the eraser or the airbrush. Subtlety is everything. Oh, about the likeness, right? Yeah, and Philip called it the ugly duckling stage. Yeah, you know, we have to be patient. You know, we have to be patient with ourselves, with our paintings, and just gotta tell ourselves it's gonna come together. And I see right here, I think I went a little too big with this pupil. So you can make subtle changes here and so I think we're at the stage now where we can actually start jumping in with the light mixture. And you guys all know this is it's part 5, so it's not premature to begin the light mixture. It's usually around part 5 or 6, right guys? And so let's start. Let's see if we can start working on that eye. So Willie says, Tim, have you ever tried that thing to fix bent needles? Like, oh yeah, the sharper edge, a sharper air. No, I'm in the, my opinion is definitely in the camp of, you know what, the needle's bent, it's inexpensive enough. Just go ahead and buy another needle. That's my own opinion. I mean, I know a lot of people like salvaging them, and that's cool too. But my thing is, I'd rather be painting than messing with fixing a needle, you know? But that's cool, definitely. I hear a lot of people really love it. But just for me, I think I'm probably, you know, I don't have the patience, so to speak, to, you know, deal with that. And it's only $10. And I like to pick my battles. Now this stump is all like messed up, so I need a sharp stump. And let's see if I can find a sharp stump. Hey, this looks pretty sharp, guys. This way I can be more exact. I'm going to use a Fons and Porter here when we go in. Oh, unless you have an Iwata, everything's so darn expensive. Yeah, you're gonna wanna save that $20 needle. But yeah, with Badger, you're in good shape. Right here, we have interesting thing going on with the water droplet of her tear. Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, the thing is, I am going to go ahead, and since I'm doing the tear, going to actually wash this out and come back in with the light mixture, because remember, water droplet is a three-dimensional item, right? It's a three-dimensional object, and so we have to treat it like that. So if I'm going to do the water droplet of her eye, I have to make sure that I treat it like a three-dimensional object. Okay? So it's important that even though I put the water droplet, it has a cast shadow, and I have to make sure I put that cast shadow, otherwise it's not going to feel 100%. So, so Bradley says maybe you can paint around the corners with the bent needle. Tone says he hasn't had to buy a needle in 3 years using it. That's great. So that's cool. That is what he was thinking. It's like $4, and that's a lot of Badger needles. $44. Yeah, that's a lot of Badger needles. So if you're a Badger guy, I don't think that's something for you. That's definitely for one of those guys who, you know, those a lot of needles are really expensive and they're hard to find. So, but yeah, those who have it, I hear there's good things about it, and so definitely good if it's something that you feel is important. Okay, so we have the medium mixture in here. We're going to do some tests. We're going to definitely lower that air. Okay, so remember we were doing this little water droplet here. One second rule, guys. 1 second rule always in effect. Oh, cool. So Tone says with shipping delays, he's glad he has one. That's cool. So yeah, it works for some people, definitely. And I definitely can see how it works for you, Tone. That's for sure. But for me, I just can't be bothered, you know? As long as we concentrate on this 1 second rule, we should be okay. And now we zoom back. Well, let's continue since we're here. Let's make sure we do this part. Right over here. And let's darken this up. With the light mixture, we have a lot more control and wiggle room. Let's see how this looks when we come back. Okay, I think it's pretty good. It looks watery to me, and I can see I can calm this down just a little bit, this cast shadow, just a little bit. Just calm that down. Maybe a little bit overzealous here. That's okay. And let's go ahead. Oh, thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. And so at least we're at the beginning of it, right? And we know we'll get there. So now we can see when we pull out. Okay, there we are. So now we can see how it looks. And all right. And let's calm down this little dark here. So yeah, we put in that. Now we know we have more work to do, and we can definitely see that, you know, maybe I'm overzealous, or maybe I'll just leave that little bit more of a tear there. That might be a good decision. We'll see. Like I said, you know, it doesn't have to look like it. Sometimes when you do something that's not perfect, it actually is a good thing. Oh, Willie, I hope you have a good night, man. It's always good to see you. Stay safe, and looking forward to seeing you next week, Willie. Well, that's really cool. I mean, that's definitely a good thing. You know, that you do that. You know, it probably saves you a lot of money in the long run, right, Tone? Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and work on the white of her eyes. And before I do that, I think I can go ahead and darken the white of her eyes. What do you guys think? There we go. Just darken that a little bit. And now, this is one thing I like to say. When you're working with the highlight, most of the times you want to plow the field. And plowing the field is, you know, getting rid of some of the ink before you put that in, and just makes that cleaner. I'm going to be using this chisel. This is the Mono chisel, and it's a very specialized eraser. And as you see, it has a very special purpose, and it's not like an all-purpose airbrush by any means. There we go. Now that might be a little ardent, a little strong, so we definitely can come in and tap it with the kneaded eraser to calm that down some. Every portrait, right, everybody? Every portrait has its own feel to it. It has its own emotion and everything like that. And it's like a person. It's going to have its own personality. And just by these live streams, you see that they all have their own personality. we definitely have to calm that down. We're going to tap. See, if you tap, you're just pulling up just the right amount of pastel. And we can take our mono. Now we have the light mixture mixed in, and we can see once we put in the white that we can actually darken that some. Always concentrate with the 1 second rule. I will always keep you from going south, right? Don't want to go south. And as we zoom out, we'll see how it's looking. Okay, so, you know, we're going in the right direction, I think. Definitely going in the right direction. And wow, she's looking really emotional. But that's what I said, you know, sometimes the work takes on its own personality, and that's okay. So let me zoom out and see what our next decision is going to be. And where can we, you know, do some nice subtle white here. And I think in the nose we definitely can. Now this is where we can definitely get to the point where you can put, remember, wow, so Bradley and Wendy said that the white really made a difference. Thank you guys. And also, remember I told you the 5 steps. So the 5-step, first step is what? Is the contour, right? The line drawing. And then of course is the value, right? And then after the value you want to have the edges. Then after the edges you want to make sure that you have the well, you have the line, you have the contour, you have the shape, and then you have the value, and then you have the edges, and then the 5th is the detail inside the shapes. Remember, it's not just a bunch of shapes, but there's a lot going on. So now we're going to start doing the detail within the shapes. So that's really the 5 steps. And, you know, if we can do those 5 steps in every painting, then we'll definitely not end up in the wrong spot. And so, like I was always saying just today, you know, we just have to let it happen. We just have to let it happen. And I'm just tapping. But not only that, I need to look and see what's going on. If I'm going to be very light. And if you guys who've done digital art, you know you have those pens with pressure sensitivity. I want you to realize that there's pressure sensitivity in anything, whether you're working in pastel or working in airbrush or working in pencil. It's pressure sensitivity. Meaning the more pressure you put, the darker it's going to get. The lighter the pressure, the more subtle and lighter it's going to get. So think about that. It's so important, you know. That's why I think that digital art is important for that reason. That it helps us to see things in a way that we can translate it into our analog work, right? Our non-digital work. It's hard, right? It's difficult. My teacher always said that you can't serve 2 masters. Now what does that mean? What do you guys think that means when you say you can't serve 2 masters? What does that mean to you when it comes to art? And then I'll tell you what Harvey told me. Well, it is from the Bible, but as that's very good. But the thing is that it in art, it means that you will love one the other, and you'll love one more, and you'll hate the other one more. And now, when it comes to art, like, let's say, you're working in two mediums, you're always going to love one medium more, and you're always going to have a little bit of this, you know, little bit of, not feeling as good about another one. The other one is going to probably be in the way. So it's really hard to have different mediums that you work in. But sometimes things are hard. Sometimes the right things are hard, right? Sometimes you're going to have to do things you don't like, right? So not necessarily serving both masters, you're making the other medium serve your other medium as your art as a whole, but it's also serving your main medium. So whatever your main medium is, whether it's airbrush or pastel or drawing or whatever, the other stuff that you do is actually serving that medium. Why am I saying this, guys? Tim, what are you talking about, right? Well, the reason why I say this is because if you work in digital, it's serving your main work. That's what I mean. It's serving it because it's going to help your main work. It's going to help, whether that be airbrush or pencil, whatever. If you do digital work, it's going to serve what you really are after. And I'll tell you, I can't tell you how much, now it's growing pains. I'm doing things that normally I would not do, but digital art has taken my art to a different direction. I would say a higher plateau where I'm not as comfortable. I could just stay comfortable, but you know what? If you stay comfortable in art, your work is going to be very comfortable. Let's not rock the boat, right? Let's continue doing what everyone expects us to do. Well, that's fine and dandy, but do you want last year's work to look like this year's work? Do you want next year's work to look like 3 years from now, 3 years ago? I don't. I want to continue growing. I want, when my life is over, I want people to say, wow, I love what he did in 2020, and wow, it's so different than what he did in 2005, but still, I really love it. That to me, that's pretty cool. So let's go for that. Let's see how we could take digital art and make it work for our art as a whole. Yeah, this is a very interesting piece here, just sort of taking on her own little direction. Now when you go over with the white, you have to be careful. There's going to be a little blue shift, so you have to be very light when you put it on. And we're talking super light, right? Otherwise you can get that blue shift. Well, it's like anything else. It's like what Mike and Willie were saying. If we can take that 15 minutes a day and culminate that over a period of a year, you'll be a pro. You will be a pro. You would be able to go on Skillshare and teach it. Oh, so I was on Skillshare. Thank you, Wendy. Bite the bullet, yes. I was on Skillshare, and Skillshare is really poor. I mean, very good for Procreate, very good for Clip Studio, which is another program which I'm learning currently. It was good for Clip Studio, but Krita, there's nothing on Krita except for this one guy, and I could not understand a word he was saying. And so I might go ahead and teach Krita, do a class on Krita on Skillshare, because they really need it. There's nothing on Skillshare. Oh, thank you. And I want to do Procreate. So this Friday, I'm going to do, my students currently are in a class with me, and those who are my students are welcome. And if you're interested in learning Procreate, if you have the iPad, I'm giving a class this Friday at 8:30. Let's make it 8:30 on Friday. And I already have 2 people coming, Wendy and Brad. And if you're interested, if anyone's interested, it's only $10. And it's going to be an hour and a half class. I'm going to go over how to start a painting in Procreate and actually, how to use the paintbrush, how to use just to get started and to really make it fun and almost like working in Airbrush. And the way I work in Procreate, if you guys had seen my first Procreate painting, it actually looks the same as my Airbrush painting. So definitely, if you guys, anyone is interested, let me know. It's an hour and a half. It's only $10. My students currently, it's free. For my mentorship program students. Oh, so Brad says that Wendy needs to behave herself. So now I can see, like, all right, hey Gloria, have a great night. Hasta banana. Always great to talk to you, Gloria. It was great to talk to you this evening. And good to see you with all this social distancing. So I hope you have a great night. And Gloria is still, she has been waiting to frame the one painting that she won. So hopefully in the month of June she'll be able to frame that. So that would be cool. And I'm still worrying about the picture as a whole. So we're at 11:09, so kind of started out slow, but I think we're cooking with gas now, right? I think we're doing better. Yes, this painting is definitely taking on its own feeling here. Now I remember my mom. My mom knows me more than anybody, and she's like, Tim, your work. There was a painting I did not too long ago, Scream, and now this painting, and she's like, Tim, what's going on with you? And I don't think, it's funny she said that because she knows me, but I think, thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate that, and this is a rough time. It really is. Where I live, half the deaths in the United States are coming from here, and coming from within five miles from where I live. And it's really rough, and it does affect us, and I think it affects us individually and as a whole. And I think this painting, basically, when I saw this image on the internet, this wonderful photograph, I just had to paint it, and I contacted the photographer and said, I really have to paint this. This is just so wonderful. And, it was just so poignant, and, I really thought that it was really indicative to what's happening today. Now, her mouth is really beautiful, but it's also very complex with this emotion, and so that's very important. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on her mouth, and I'll show you, just what my thinking is, and we'll go in it together. In her mouth? No, we're not dentists. But let's see what we can do. I kind of am going with the Fons and Porter, I don't know why, I'm just deciding on the Fons and Porter today. But I really think that, don't you guys think that coming in with that black, with that dark mixture, right? I think I needed to be decisive. I think I needed to just stop being so wishy-washy and just going right in there. I think that really brought things together. I mean, it's a long time coming, this painting, and I don't know why. I just felt like it just was a long time coming. We're going to calm that down, of course. Now remember, when you do these striations, what are some of the best things to do? I remember when I first started with Airbrush, and I would look at Drew Blair's, and his would be nice and beautiful and soft, and mine would look like she, had a tattoo on her lip. I'm like asking myself, what am I doing wrong? What's he doing right? It's something he's doing right. I just don't know. So, over the years, I continued working and continued struggling with that question. What am I doing wrong? What's he doing right? And basically, the values have to be close. If the values are close, then they won't look like, a harsh, tattoo. They will look calm, and they look like they belong there. So that's why we have to just make those values pretty close to one another. And let's make the turning really look like it's, I like the way the nostril came out. We want it to turn. Like, okay, we were talking about sharper air and, why I don't like, so with my airbrushes, I kill them, right? I work 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And those are on good days, not every day, but that's basically it, 6, 7 hours a day. And you know what? I kill them. And there are times when it starts not working correctly. And I do a cleaning, yet it still doesn't work correctly. I change out the whole thing. I change out this, the cone inside, and the needle, because I don't want to be bothered fiddling about. I just need to, I see myself as I just need to get to work, And so that's why, I just don't have the patience for it. It's cool that, some of you guys and girls out there have the patience for that. I just don't. Putting stuff together, you should see me try and put something together. Oh my God, it's horrible. We all have our strengths and weaknesses. But when it comes to like, maintenance, I mean, prevention is more important than fixing. And so I make sure I always clean it. I make sure that I never leave it out, all those different things. But when it starts messing up, give me a new nozzle, a new air regulator, and all that. Wow, you file that. See, that's cool, but that's your strength, and I admire that. For me, it's like, there's no way I could do that because that's not my wheelhouse. So that's really cool that you do that. And so were you always like that? You'd always fix stuff on your own, like radios and stuff, Tone? Look at that. So that is good. Even though I had it parked, I didn't do anything. When I went ahead and sprayed it, some little tone came out. So, I mean, it's no big deal. I could erase that or whatever. But always spray your first spray. Always make it on a scrap piece of paper. Try and remember that. It's not easy to try and remember stuff like that. And let's go ahead and address those little darks. I can't even see it with the naked eye, but I can see it here because we have it blown up. There we go. And like I said, that's not even visible with the naked eye. but I'll spray around it. And like I said, I can't see it. Let's say if I could. Nope, I'm not gonna, because when you zoom out, it's just not visible. Wow, fixing nozzles since '98. Now that's cool. Wow, that's really cool. Wow, so wow, so that's why you're so good, Tone. You have a lot of experience. So even now, her mouth is starting to come together. Let's go with our really detailed stump. Where in the world did that go? Is it underneath? Let's see. I had it. Oh, here it is. It fell. Okay, cool. All right. So let's continue moving in the direction of the grain of her lips. And we'll get more succinct and, detailed down the line. It's all good. Let's get a little darker here. And you might say, Tim, why are you getting so fixated? Because it's a really good lesson for everybody. How to get those little shapes in the lips. 1 second rule, guys. Always the 1 second rule. Let's see. Now Mike says, hey Tim, can you pull up the photos of that Badger 100 side feed I made into a sotar I sent you? Oh man, I don't know where that is. I don't think I could find it readily. That's really cool. That was fantastic. How's that working out? Are you enjoying it? It looks like a great detail brush. Oh wow, a nail tech showing it to you. Wow. So they were doing that with the airbrushes back then. Holy cow. And let's zoom out. There we go. Like I said, we have some work to do in her mouth. But I'm just so afraid of getting too fixated on that. But I think what's happening is that, I'm losing the ensemble. And see how I made things too dark here and there? And if I go ahead and calm them down, then it seems like the lips are falling into place. Same thing here. Okay, so we're looking at the ensemble of the lips, right? How they really, now going too dark and too light is the same. We can go too light, right? So we have to just calm those differences down, right? Let's calm those differences down. And by doing that, it makes sense. And now once that dries just a little bit, I'm going to take my white pastel. But before, let's set this up, right? Let's set up that white, So So you airbrush nails for a couple of ladies here and there. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so let's plow the field. Let's set up by making the this part of the lip a little bit darker. I'm going to use a bigger eraser, and let's go ahead and use the Nock 3.8. So I think we're just going to have one more session with her, which is pretty cool. And it's interesting how the portrait is taking on her own sort of direction. So I wonder if when, you know, Da Vinci was doing the Mona Lisa, could it have been like he didn't get a likeness, right? Hey Carlton, how you doing? Good to see you, my friend. So glad you can make it. So you think he might have felt like he missed it with the Mona Lisa? Is that possible? Sure, of course it is. You know, but we don't know what kind of reaction the world will make of our work until we did it. So we're at 11:23. Pretty cool. I think this live stream went pretty fast. Sort of every live stream has its own life. I think that's why I love doing live streams so much more than just doing the regular videos. I want my channel to be mostly a live stream channel because this is so much more exciting. I don't know where the live stream is going to take me or take us. And I'm not doing the same portrait or painting over and over again. Yeah, it's been a while. So good to see you, Carlton. Oh, so Brad says he really likes how she's come together in this session. He's going to say goodnight to all while he has a chance. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Brad. I appreciate it. It's always great to hang out with you. Very cool. I'll see you Friday. I will see Wendy Friday. They are going to be in my my class, which is creating a painting in Procreate. So that's pretty exciting. So definitely great to see you guys there. That's Friday at 8:30 Eastern Time. Now, we do have some harshness here that we have to address. Now, the great thing is, so we come in with the white pastel, we can always go ahead and darken that up with the eraser. So isn't that great? You know, it's not, you know, you definitely have more wiggle room to make changes, and which is so exciting. This part is always exciting. Oh, the dark mixture tied it together. Thanks, Tone. I really feel it was a rather radical decision to do the dark mixture at this stage, but I think you're right. It sort of gave solidity to her, you know? It was pretty bold move. So, you know, when we come back, we're going to, oh, so Colin says he missed the picture that I did in Procreate. Oh, no, I didn't do anything here in Procreate, Carlton. What it was is that I'm going to have a class, you know, like a private class on Friday on how to create a painting, start a painting, a portrait like this, similar to this, in the Procreate program. And it's only $10 if you're interested. If you have Procreate, you know, that would be great. And it's just hour and a half. We're going to go over everything from, you know, finding the photo, how to take your photo and put it into your reference so you can work from it. Just a whole workflow thing. Oh, you're welcome, Carlton. Thank you always for coming by and hanging out. I really, really appreciate that, Carlton. Thank you. It's a lot of fun, you know. You guys are a lot of fun. You guys keep, you know, your great questions and your encouragement, you know, really are fantastic. So you see, I'm just calming things down, you know, calming down these harsh edges. They don't have to be so harsh, and this is where, you know, the rubber meets the road, I think. And I think she's finally starting to look like her a little bit. Like I was saying, Carlton, I'm not trying to have a likeness, and you know that's sort of the opposite of what I'm trying to do. But I want the likeness to reveal itself, right? Thanks, Tone. I want the likeness to reveal itself. I want her to reveal herself. I want her to just sort of come together. I want her emotion and, you know, not easy. It's not easy. And, you know, my latest work, Carlton, Tone, and Wendy, and everybody, it's all about emotion, different emotions. And this is an emotion I wanted to touch on, you know. And when I was painting this, I was just asking, when I was looking at this, I was just wondering what's she thinking about, you know. I mean, especially like a photograph, right? In a photo session. Must have been something pretty rough. And I'm going to have to adjust her nose there. Let's see. There we go. And we'll come back with the white mixture here. And we do have some work to do here, of course. So we are at 11:29. You guys got a few minutes. I started early today, so a few minutes extra. The likeness is starting to happen. And I think we can bring her together at the end. Oh, you're welcome, Wendy, and thank you. I appreciate that. So Carlton said he would like to know about the course on Friday. Thanks, Tone. I appreciate that. So, Carlton, if you get a chance, email me at paintedglyphs@gmail.com, and I will be more than happy to give you more information on that. And it's going to be great, and it's going to be so easy and going to bring your Procreate program to life, Carlton. So that's Timothy at, let me write that down for you, my friend, and we'll do it the old-fashioned way. Let's see. So let's see. So actually, yeah, Timothy at, let me lower that. Timothy at paintedglyphs.com, or you can just do paintedglyphs@gmail.com. Either way, I'll get it, Carlton, and I'll definitely give you more information on that. Thank you, Wendy wrote it down for me. That was cool. And okay, so it looks like we did hit the 11:30 mark, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and making my Wednesday special. You really do. And I wouldn't trade any of yous for a million subscribers. I think who I have now is really special, and who comes to my live streams really special, and always welcome new people and questions and everything, but I'm so happy with where the channel is now. Take care.